You have a goal, you've been trying to work towards it, but for some reason it feels like it's taking you ages. And that's because you need to focus on these key steps to be able to speed up your success when working towards a goal. My name is Khadijah and I help female coaches learn how to scale their businesses past those 10K months without the overwhelm of more work. And today I'm going to share with you exactly how you can achieve your success in a shorter time frame. Now, the first one might sound obvious, but as a woman, we are busy. We have many responsibilities and things that are more important to us than building the business. But being diligent with your time is an absolute necessity. Have a really clear schedule that is absolutely flexible. Yes, you're female, and no, you don't work on a 24-hour cycle like men do. We have a 28-day cycle. And so building something that works for you when you are most productive is what's going to work best. You want to work when you're at your maximum peak of productivity. So be diligent with that time. Be really structured and learn to tell people what it is that you're doing. One of the biggest mistakes that I made when I first started out in business was presuming that everybody would give me the time I needed when I needed it. But how are they meant to know when that is? Communication is what really helps with this. So not just with my husband and my children, but also with any friends or anyone around me, I will let them know right now I'm focusing on a project. Are you able to support me in this? And that's even with my husband. If I'm focusing on something and I need that real structured focus time, I will communicate with him and tell him. He will help with the children, help with the house, do whatever he's doing, so that there is that flexibility and that understanding between us. So the communication is what will allow you to be diligent with your time. And it isn't about putting in tons and tons and tons of hours. Yes, ultimately, the more time you put in, the quicker you will get your results. But it's not always the case, because more often than not, you will work really well at your peak performance for say 30 minutes or an hour, and then you'll start to dip and get distracted. So identifying when you perform best and giving a real solid focused hour, for example, with an exact list of what you want to achieve in that hour is often more better than you just trying to squeeze everything in, or multitasking, trying to cook dinner at the same time as trying to do some work, trying to take a call whilst you're trying to sort out your kid. This is the worst way to be productive, because actually when you are over multitasking, you become overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, you're actually not capable of getting your best results. You don't make the best decisions. So be really focused for short amounts of times, rather than over long periods. And remember, you don't need to use your time like everybody on the internet is telling you to do. This concept of I get up at 5, I go for a jog, I drink water, I eat this for breakfast, then I do this. Like, you don't have to do it the same way that everybody else is doing it. And for us as Muslims, focusing it around your prayer times is one of the most beautiful things. So why not use that, incorporate your deen and your faith into your schedule, be diligent with your time and communicate. The next way to speed up your success is by using automations and utilizing AI in a way that is beneficial for your business. And I'm not just talking about ChatGPT. One example that I can give you of something I've implemented in my business recently is using Fathom.ai to be able to take notes during my meetings. At the end of the meeting, it actually gives me the bullet points of the important parts of the meeting, which I can literally copy and paste into the meeting notes. And then it also gives me a list of actions that I need to take after the meeting. At the same time, I can also share this directly with clients. This saves me writing notes. It saves me having to do a write-up afterwards. It saves me having to put a list together. And it also saves having to watch back an entire video if somebody comes back, let's say 3 months later, and says, you said this to me. No, I've already got it in the notes because it transcribed it and it put it into bullet points already. Now, of course, it's not a good idea to have absolutely everything being run by AI. Mainly because you need the human element, but also I don't trust systems not to break down at some point. But something like this, a note taker, if I have to go back to writing notes, it's really not going to be a problem. And it's not taking away from that human element, which is something which is really important to me. And especially if you're somebody that creates content or has a personal brand, there are so many automations that you can have in place so that the first time you actually start speaking with a client is actually when they've already paid you. Especially if you're somebody that has a personal brand or you run a coaching business or any sort of online service using social media, having the right funnels in place so that a customer has the most incredible journey before working with you is really key without removing the human element. but there are so many automations that you can have in place at that point, including ManyChat, including things like forms or type forms. And by combining these automations with a great team, you shouldn't have to actually speak to anybody until they have paid and they're ready to work with you or purchase your product or your service or whatever it is that you're offering. And right now, one of the systems that I've been looking into and using, which has been really great so far from what I've seen, is GoHighLevel, because it's one of the few systems that literally combines everything and puts it into one place. Now, being honest with you about systems and automations, there is one thing to consider, and that is that all of the different systems that exist, each are usually an expert in the thing that they offer. Whereas something like GoHighLevel, although it offers everything, no system is ever going to be an expert at absolutely everything. And having everything in one place is sometimes a bit more risky, as I said, than having things in multiple places. So whether you are using multiple systems or using one main system, the key is having it as seamless as possible without you having to be too hands-on at any point. The next game changer to speeding up your success, and I know this sounds like a no-brainer, but is get a mentor. Work with somebody for 6 months that has achieved everything that you're looking to do so that they can tell you exactly what to do, step by step, when to do it, what system to use, what works, what doesn't work, and they can have a look at what is performing well for you and what is not performing well for you, and they can guide you. And no, I'm not just talking about a digital course. Work with an expert, somebody that is way ahead of where you want to be. Because not only is their guidance going to be really valuable for you, their knowledge, you'll be able to ask them questions, but also you're going to believe that it's possible because they've been where you are right now. And usually when you enter a mentorship like this, you often get introduced to other people who are either ahead of you or below. And becoming a part of a network like this really is essential because the people ahead of you as well as the people below you are both super inspiring for your journey, and I'll tell you why. Those that are ahead of you will make you believe that it's possible because they have achieved it themselves. And when you start to get to a point where you have people coming in below you, it will remind you of how far you've come. Because it can be so easy to always look forward and not realize what you've achieved. So being amongst a group of people at different levels is super beneficial and always inspiring both ways. The next tip to speeding up that success seems a little counterproductive when I'll tell you what it is, because it is read books. Now, reading a book is not a quick thing. And for me personally, it takes me a little while to get through a book because my mind gets easily distracted. Now, I want to give you a tip if that is you as well. If you find your mind is wandering whilst you're reading, try this hack. Read the book out loud, because whilst you are reading it and speaking it at the same time, your brain is more occupied and less likely to get distracted with other thoughts. But choose the books that are specifically going to help you on exactly what it is that you're working towards or that inspire you. A few of my favorites are Sell Like Crazy, Expert Secrets, The Diary of a CEO, $100 million Offers, but most importantly, Fortress of a Muslim. Make sure you're keeping your dua and your Islamic side in place too. Now, these books aren't always going to align with what's important to you or your values or your faith. And that's absolutely fine, because right now it is really difficult to find a book that completely does that. One of the closest things I found is How to Make Money by Nafisa Bakr. However, there's not many things like this out there. And so what I've personally done, and the reason why I'm offering business coaching, is because you shouldn't have to compromise your values or faith on your journey. So just because a book tells you something, it doesn't mean that's the exact way that you have to do it, but there's going to be so many good things that you can take. And the other incredible thing about reading books is that it gives you knowledge and it widens your vocabulary, which automatically then positions you as a better authority within your niche. Now, the next speedy trick that I'm going to share with you is listening to podcasts or watching podcasts. But I want you to combine this one with being diligent with your time. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. Yes, you can use Chrome extensions that will actually watch the podcast for you and pull out the bullet points of what's most important. But sometimes it's actually being inspired by what it is that you're listening to that can give you more than just reading a few bullet points. Now, with the podcast, you shouldn't really feel the need to be sitting down with a pen and paper and taking loads of notes. And if you do feel the need to do that, then do use things like YouTube Summarizer to be able to listen to it, summarize it for you, and give you the notes. However, otherwise, being diligent with your time means listening in the car when you're driving, or listening when you're traveling. Or for example, yesterday I was on a treadmill and I was watching a podcast whilst I was on the treadmill. And if you're somebody that likes to watch TV or Netflix or whatever it is you're watching, maybe try and switch that up so you're actually watching something that makes you feel like you want to take action after watching it rather than sleep. Now, the next point I'm going to share on helping you to speed up your success is you being clear on the difference between having fun and wasting time. I'm not going to tell you that you're meant to work like a man and never have any fun, because you need to unwind and you need to feel happy. But there is a big difference between having fun and wasting time. Now, we're all going to be different, but for me, for example, going out with a group of friends for dinner is not my idea of fun, it is my idea of wasting time. Because the conversations when there are a group of people are always so much more superficial than when I have the opportunity to sit down one-to-one with somebody and speak face-to-face, eye to eye. So I personally have a select few people that I meet up with that I enjoy spending time with, and when I leave, I feel better than I did than when I arrived. But I find myself leaving a gathering of a group of people feeling absolutely drained and just wanting some time by myself. Now, that's probably because I'm an introvert and you may be the opposite, and that's absolutely fine, but be clear on the difference between having fun and wasting time, because time is the only thing that you cannot get back. You have no guarantee that you're even going to live to tonight, let alone to tomorrow. And as long as your success goals are there with good intention, to leave a legacy, to change for the next generation, and to do everything for the sake of Allah, then putting your effort into that makes a lot more sense. So ladies, I hope this was helpful. And I know you hear this on repeat, but honestly, if you find my content at least a little bit relatable, following me will make a huge difference, because it will allow me to make more content, and having your feedback will help me to make that more relevant for what it is that you need. So let me know in the comments what it is you'd like to learn about, subscribe to my channel, put the notifications on, and I'll see you in the next video.